All right, what's up, guys? It's Justin Khan back with another Fractal Radio, where we introduce you to the most exciting blockchain games out there in Web3. And today I'm joined by Bill, David, and Chris, the co-founders of EV.io, which is a really cool game. And we got introduced, I guess it was a couple weeks ago, right? When you guys reached out about Ultima Online on Twitter. I remember that. That was fun.
It's all Bill.
Yeah, Bill and I used to play like probably on Napa server back at like this must have been 20 years ago, right?
It's the Ultima Online connection. I feel anytime that there's someone that's been in Ultima Online, it's just there's always going to be a few minutes of great convo, which is always nice to connect because, yeah, I mean it was a pretty early experience when it showcases multiplayer games. I don't think there's anything like it or anything since early Ultima Online days. So
It was savage. Like people were, killing each other. There was like this is before they discovered that they need to put in like PvE environments for new players. In an MMO. This is the very first MMO, and like just people were killing each other. You could steal from other players in the game. People were like stealing from each other, and it was kind of like Lord of the Flies. But those were what created those really strong emotional relationships with other players.
I feel like if someone could survive a few years in Ultima Online, everything after that is easy because Ultima Online, like you said, it was just they tried to replicate real life without law to a certain extent, and
Yeah.
it was chaos. So if you lasted
It was
Ultima Online,
lawless.
you're battle hardened for every other game that came after it. So yeah, it was great to connect, and I love connecting with people that play Ultima Online. There's so many are now in these amazing industries, and it was 20 years ago, so it's neat to see how much people have gone and what they've done with their lives and everything. So I connect with people all the time on Ultima Online. It's really fun.
That was kind of like the original in-game assets that were valuable, right? Like people, I remember there wasn't enough land, and so all the houses got built everywhere that there could be houses, and now then these houses started selling on eBay for hundreds of dollars or more.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of at so many principles of Ultima Online. We were buying gold at one point. You could buy land, houses, towers, castles were in the thousands at the peak, and so it really had a lot of the attributes. The difference was it was kind of not illegal, but you weren't really allowed to do it, and so you always had a risk when you interacted with the other party. Would you actually get your stuff? Would
No.
would that transaction be voided and you could lose your what you bought? So it had some of the elements, but not all of the elements to make it safe and scalable. So
My first MMO experience was RuneScape, and it was also my first browser gaming experience. And you could buy and sell RuneScape accounts, kind of like you could buy and sell World of Warcraft accounts. There's always a black market for everything. I remember I must have been like 11 years old, and I got scammed out of my full rune plate armor, and I cried all night long. But it wouldn't have happened if it was secured by the power of cryptography. My ownership would never have happened.
I lost my nightmare that I bought for $500, and as a grown man, I probably cried too. So I think that stays with you. So I was
So
probably
this,
19.
despite these like setbacks in the virtual world, like you guys went on to have long successful gaming careers. So tell us about like your backgrounds in gaming.
Well, Bill's career is longer and more successful than mine, so I'll let him start.
Well, I wouldn't say that, yeah, because this is the Black Album. We say EV is. I say to Chris, I'm like, this is your Black Album. This is going to be the decade endearing game that people grow up and have played and talk about, and that's like my kind of goal for it and for everyone on the team to kind of have that. So my career, I mean, I started in the early days of the internet, and really the biggest claim to fame was early on we bought the domain name Addicting Games and really tried to make gaming accessible to everyone. And at the time, the games were pretty silly, but I've always gravitated towards silly games like Kitten Cannon and stick games and Madness Combat and all that kind of really fun, easy stuff. And from that company became successful. it was acquired by Viacom, and then it went on to grow in that world. And then we went on and made a company called Hall Pass Media. And Hall Pass Media was just doubling down on stick games and cooking games and dress-up games and all these kind of games that I think people neglected because they weren't these amazing storytelling AAA shooters, but they had these really good, fun mechanics, and I've always really loved that. And I loved games being accessible. And that company was acquired by Jam City, so Bristol Wolf's mobile company. And at a certain point, I was looking at the landscape and started going into education. So we made mathgames.com, and Chris and I connected, and he really showed these multiplayer browser games have this incredible user base, and the technology was at the right point. And Chris had showed me his game, and I'll let him describe his cool stuff. But I was just amazed that so many people were playing this game in real time, without downloads, with all the issues that we had prior. And I thought it was an amazing industry. And so then Chris and I were able to come together and form the next iteration of Addicting Games. We're able to buy back Addicting Games and then add on all these different properties. And so that's kind of what this iteration of Addicting Games is. And that's how we got to this point. And then I'll let Chris take over on the EV stuff, which he's responsible for.
Yeah, so the way I met Bill was actually he was a player. He was a fan of one of my games. It was a game called Tactics Core. And it was just kind of a fun HTML5, kind of a MOBA type thing. And my background is I left my job in 2015 to work exclusively on HTML5 web games because I was really tired, I guess, of how much friction there was in gaming. Having to buy a PS4, having to buy a subscription to PSN, having to download 200 gigabytes, never having space on my hard drive, signing in, logging out, all that stuff. I guess that stuff really bothered me. So I felt there was an opportunity to make games more accessible. And by accessible, I don't mean like people who, people in wheelchairs or people in handicaps. That's a noble cause too. I more mean like ease of access. Like when I was a kid and I wanted to play Nintendo, I just plugged it in and I turned it on and I could play Mario. But now games are hidden behind all these things: registrations, login, subscriptions, downloading it. I mean, I can fit maybe 4 games on my hard drive, 4 actual AAA Steam games on my hard drive. I'm constantly deleting games so I can fit more games. So that's why I kind of got into making web games in the first place, is trying to solve this problem. EV.io, one of the things that separates it is that it's only 10 megabytes, the entire thing. It loads almost instantly on any internet connection. So we kind of set out to make the best possible first-person shooter on the worst possible machine. And Bill laughs. He was the one that bought us a bunch of Chromebooks at the very beginning, and he was like, make it run on these 2018 Chromebooks. And I think we half accomplished that goal. I don't think we go as far back as like 2015 Chromebooks, but I think maybe the last 5 years, EV.io runs really well on desktop devices.
They weren't even new Chromebooks, so to your credit, they were some.
Yeah, that's true.
Keeping them in an oven at 150 degrees for most of the day, so they run even worse.
Yeah,
Wait, did you really do that? That's awesome.
The story is real, yeah. It wasn't punishment; it was a goal. Like it was our aspiration to get it on the kind of Chromebook that I would have growing up. Like I didn't grow up. My parents moved here from Europe. My dad was a line prep, worked in a line prep, and then drove a taxi. So all the gear I had resembled that stuff growing up, and so I was always limited to like, can it run on whatever I have? And so that was kind of like a background goal. And I think the whole team shared the aspiration from like a technical achievement to try to make it work on everything. It's really technically challenging, and I think it's an aspiring goal to have. But mine was a little more self-serving. I wanted to have kids that grew up the way I did be able to play on the stuff that I played. And it probably was 150 degrees and made of pure lead and other things. So.
By the way, David is our lead map designer, and part of what makes his job difficult is that he has to make these very complex maps that are fun to play on, that are interesting 3D spaces, but with very, very small file sizes. And I'm a real stickler for file size. So often there's a lot of friction between us when David wants to make something look really good. And it's kind of like he's always wearing a 1,000-pound weight on his chest.
Yeah.
Because when it comes
gets
to file
easier
sizes,
month by month. It gets pretty easy. I
now he's got it
appreciate
down
the
to a
same
science.
kind of challenge, really. It's like, how simple can we get away with making this and it still looks good, still plays well?
Amazing. I love the devotion to the technical. Let's dive in and try it. I want to play it.
All right.
Is that cool? All right, I have it.
You ready for a private game? The great thing about it is it's all on the web, you know? So if I want you to join my game, all I have to do is to share a link with you. So I'm going to do that right now in the chat.
Okay, clicking to play. All right, I'm running around.
All right, I see guest
right?
2894.
Yep. I think I got a sniper rifle. How do I equip?
So you can use the number keys to change weapons.
I got it. How do I
or yes,
scope?
Scope is right click.
Oh shit, I don't know how to right click on this. All right, I'm gonna.
Oh, you're on a touchpad, right?
No scoping. It is.
Yeah, I've never played with a trackpad. Is that fun?
Yeah, it's not fun, but it is. Okay, where are you guys?
I
need someone
see
to
you.
shoot at. Oh. Oh, okay. How do I reload?
R.
All right.
You're not making it easy. You're jumping around quite a lot. That's really good.
All right, I'm coming back. Wait, Z is. I have a katana or something.
Yeah. So everyone starts out with a melee weapon. A lot of games, Counter-Strike, they do knives. We do swords because I think swords look cooler.
It's epic.
Yeah. And you just hit 1 to access your.
Oh my god! You got a rocket launcher?
I just killed myself with the rocket launcher.
Oh, this is brutal. This is gonna be a humiliation mode, and I really need. We ordered a gaming PC, but it's at my house, and I'm just making up excuses now.
I always play as guest because I know that the EV.io community will rip on me whenever they see me in the game with how horrible my aim is.
Yeah, they'll be like, "You invented this? What are you doing?"
Same.
Yeah. I would tell them that there are people who build rocket ships, and then there are those who fly them. Twitch streamers and stuff. They can play this game way better than I can.
If I were them, I would say those are those who can do and those who can teach.
Ah.
So one of the things I guess that separates EV.io is it's a very ability-focused game, and if you actually hit M and then you hit the abilities tab, you can see all of the different abilities that you have access to. The upper left hand is the most important. You've got teleportation, you've got double jump, triple jump, and you've got sprint. And different players have different play styles. But
I see.
The thing that kind of separates the play styles the most is honestly which points do you spend in which movement abilities. The game is all about movement. It's not just a simple kind of like point and shoot. You have teleportation, you have impulse grenades, and you have sprint. And you can kind of pick and choose how you want to traverse the map.
Cool.
So it's not just aiming. You also have to know how to move. And I guess a lot of first-person shooters do that, and some of the mechanics are planned, and some of the mechanics are not. But our movement mechanics are very, very planned.
That's fun. I need to spend a little bit more time learning to teleport and use the grenades and stuff, but that's really awesome. And I swear I killed someone when I played in the public game an hour ago. So,
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah.
There's someone out there that's like, cool. Jason Khan got me in this game, I swear, right now, who's telling people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
A lot of the inspiration for the game comes from Destiny.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people know about Halo, and Halo is probably a more popular brand than Destiny is, but I consider Destiny sort of like the spiritual successor to Halo.
Yeah.
And kind of like the epitome of that Bungie style shooter. And I think Bungie learned a lot when they went from Halo to Destiny. Like first of all, like the time to kill, it takes a really long time to kill someone in Halo, and it's not great for competitive play because the pros can just sprint around, hide behind things, and there'll be a shooting match for like an hour.
Oh yeah, it's definitely Destiny's definitely like more on the arcade shooter side versus Halo on the arena shooter side.
By the way, David comes from the Halo Forge community,
Okay.
which is like a modding community.
Yeah.
And he was working as a security guard actually when he applied for the position, and he completely blew us away because he actually designed a complete map on the application. Like it was a video of a complete map that he designed for us, and he continues to blow us away. If you see all of the maps that are in public rotation right now, those are pretty much all of his handiwork. And I also want to mention JBS. JBS is my right hand man. He's been with the project from the very beginning, just as important as everyone on this call. He lives in Germany, and he's known in the IO Games community as JBS, but his real name is Johannes. And he's been laying the bricks with me since day one. And in the beginning, it was just really me and him, and we kind of treated it like a sandbox. I mean, we added all kinds of crazy stuff to the game. We didn't know exactly what we were going to do at first. Like we added something where you shot a bullet and it would reflect off of any surface and it would bounce off surfaces. At one point, we had a mini game where you could a mini gun where you placed a mini gun in front of you and it would shoot at other players. And then we added like homing rockets. So not everything we designed obviously made it into the game. And eventually, I had to like really think about what this game was going to be like. But just over time, we fine tuned and improved all those things. We put it in front of friends, we put it in front of colleagues. We had lots and lots of company play sessions at Addicting Games, and I go back and I watch the recordings from those sessions, and I'm amazed at how far we've come because some of those gameplay sessions, the game was really buggy, and like players were like
Yeah.
lots and lots of lag and all kinds of problems. But we've come a really long way. I also want to give a shout out to Jeremy Burns. He's a Canadian. We have people all over the world. Jeremy is in Canada. Our character artist is in the Philippines. JBS is in Germany. Bill's in California. And David and I were over on the East Coast. So it's a miracle of collaboration. Lots of people working together. And you've heard the expression, it takes a village to raise a child. Well, it takes a village to make a game. So it's never just one person.
Amazing. You have a really global team. Let's talk about the NFT. Like, how do NFTs play into this?
Our whole shtick, I guess, is that we put gameplay first before everything else,
Yeah.
and that's also true with like the NFTs. The way that we want to set ourselves apart from other NFT projects is to be like an actually fun crypto game, like a game that people really want to spend time in and play. And the NFTs and the art is kind of subservient, to that purpose. And of course, we spend lots and lots of time, on the art and making the NFTs look cool. And the NFTs are going to have utility when you own an EV.io NFT, like a skin, for example. It affects how you look in the game. And every NFT has its own power level. And the power level is going to, different intensities of the power level is going to affect how much your skin shines in the game. And we're still working on the effects of that and how to do that exactly. But
Cool.
the idea is that the higher power your NFT is, the cooler that you're going to look in the game. And these are supposed to be collectibles. We don't delve into any of like the crazy kickback mechanisms and like earning it's not an investment scheme at all. Like these are like Pokemon cards.
Yeah.
Imagine if you could go back in time and you could buy Fortnite Season 1 skins, right? And have some way of a proof of ownership of those skins, and to be able to secure those assets and own them using the power of cryptography, which is what NFTs do. Well, that's kind of what our goal is. Like we want to make collectibles, and you'll be able to use them in the game, and that's what separates them from the NFTs that are just sort of art for the sake of art. But that is, our goal.
Gotcha. So it's a game first. You guys are making a fun multiplayer online shooter game first, and then the NFTs are cosmetics for the game. They might be rare. Looks like there's weapon cosmetics as well, but they don't necessarily have. It's not a kind of play to win strategy. There's no. It's more cosmetic in the game. Is that right?
Right.
Yeah, we're very careful about staying away from any play to win. There's no way that you'll be able to buy NFTs that's going to give you any kind of material advantage in the game.
Cool.
Now, that being said, you might be able to get benefits and perks from having NFTs. It's just not going to make you a better player competitively.
I think that's important. Like people don't want to play against somebody who can just like dominate them because they bought something.
Well, because in the future, what happens is the people that have those NFTs, the new player experience, and that's always where the life of your game is going to grow, is if the new player experience is degraded by the existing NFT base that has all these abilities, that means you can't offer the same player experience to the new players as you have to your existing. And if you can't do that over the long run, you can't grow your game. And so when we talk about like Addicting Games being this 20-year now franchise, we want EV to be the same thing, where it just keeps evolving and we keep getting better with it and adding modes and different ways to play. But we can't do that if 5 years from now NFT players are just so far ahead that no one wants to come into this game. And so it's really designed where it is going to be something that lives and breathes and evolves, and just, if you want to play in the browser quickly and on any computer, you're going to come to EV, and that's where we want to sit in the ecosystem. So and it should be as good for a new player today as it will be 2 years from now. You should have that same joy and that same experience and be able to be as competitive. So, and it's tough to balance that if you're adding in all these other kind of artificial perks to it. So I'm pretty happy that we've evolved this game to not go down that route, which I think is best for the game and the player and the collectors, actually.
In general, I think the order that we did things in, the amount that we had planned for the amount of tasks that we were taking on with it, just organically, all of our priorities have been more or less right at whatever given part of the process. So, like, even in general, I think the game, if somebody leaves and comes back, or if they're a brand new player, the experience should be better than it was, at least a little bit better than it was a few months ago, or a little bit better for a new player than it was for somebody who played this time last year.
Yeah, we get that all the time. Like in the Discord, people are like, "Wow, I haven't played this game in a month," and they're like, "Everything is so much better." And that's just the power of iteration. Like you start out with something that's okay, and you continue to improve upon it. And you take feedback from players, and you fine tune things slowly. We have mechanisms right now. I can change the damage value on any weapon in real time without even having to reset servers. So that's the level of control that we have here. And I can't tell you how many times I've changed the damage value on all of our primary weapons just to get them feeling right and get them balanced. And you can't do it mathematically because sometimes it's more about feel than it is about like calculating based on like this firing rate and this amount of damage, how many ticks or whatever. Sometimes it's like this AR feels too strong compared to the hand cannon. We need to figure out how to make the two balance. I was about to say nerfed, but I'm not going to say that because I don't believe in nerfing anything. Because if you nerf something, you create a power vacuum, and you don't know what gun is going to take its place. So I like to make things stronger that are weak instead of making things weaker that are strong.
Except for sprint speed, you turn that right down.
Sprint speed's been a major contention with the community because the other two movement mechanics, teleportation, double jump, triple jump, those actually have a lot of utility when you're playing the game, but sprinting, it's kind of boring, and you don't have any verticality. So it's like we're still thinking about how to improve sprint. We thought about making it so that you can slide, and not just after you spend enough points in sprint, you can slide.
That's what the details. That's what makes it different. Is the true passion of the gameplay. It's not something that like is outsourced or a byproduct. It is at the core of what our team is, and you sweat the small details and the big wins, the small wins. You're listening to your community. You also are players of the game, and all those things I think are really important. I think that's what you get whenever if you look at EV as a project, that's what you're getting. You're getting passionate game developers that this is what we do and this is what we will do forever. Is look at these small details and big details and try to make this awesome experience, and that's really at the core of what you get with this team.
Oh yeah, love it. So the NFTs, like, it's primarily things people buy, or are there drops going to be? Are there going to be drops in the game once people, are you going to be able to earn weapons or skins in the game?
So one of the things that separates us is just how we've taken integration sort of to the next level. For example, like our whitelist tokens, we're dropping them in the game, meaning you can go to ev.io and play, and there'll be a random chance that you can find the whitelist tokens on the map. And there's two different tiers right now. There's epic and legendary. The legendary, they just ran out, but we'll probably do more drops in the future. The legendary ones, you would find a boss that would randomly spawn on the map. So as far as like picking up actual NFTs and not whitelist tokens, we want to do that too. Like, we want to make it so that you can get cosmetics, get basically everything that is earnable in the game, anything that you could buy in a marketplace like Fractal.is. You should also be able to earn that in the game. And what we'll probably drop them, maybe even buy some back and drop them just as a gift to people who just enjoy grinding the game.
Yeah. Amazing. Let's talk about the upcoming mint. So what's the plan for the mint?
So it's coming up in April, and we haven't set a date yet, but we have some pretty crazy things that we're doing with you guys with Fractal. We have the tournament, and the mint itself, like the art team is working overtime. I mean, David should know, on making sure that all of our NFT, our wallet images are going to be completely unique. And it's no art that the EV.io community has seen before. And yeah, so we're just really working on getting the word out and finishing the art and dropping the whitelist tokens. And hopefully at some point we'll be able to decide on a date, and that will be in collaboration, with Fractal. And we're going to be doing it all on Fractal.is. And so far we've been really happy with the partnership. You guys have guided us. I mean, we know game design, game development. You guys know more about NFTs, so we rely on you guys a lot for that kind of stuff. And I think I heard a statistic that there was like 7 marketers for every developer on your typical NFT project. That's not us. Like, we have like 8 people exclusively just working on the game. We don't even have a single person on marketing. We were hoping you guys would do all the marketing.
Yeah.
But obviously we have to probably hire someone exclusively for the marketing. But it just goes to show you that we really do want to make a really good gameplay experience first, because we think that that's going to be the foundation. And maybe some other projects that don't put gameplay first will succeed in the short term, but I think in the long term, when you're in the game industry, I mean, the most important thing is that you're having fun when you're playing the game, and that you're creating a meaningful, engaging experience. So all the other stuff basically is secondary.
100%.
And
yeah, I totally agree with that. I think the future of blockchain games is games, right? First, it's not a DeFi scheme or like some way to, like, most people are trying to make money. It's really about creating a game. It's a fun game where you can interact with other people, and then once people, like, that's the way free to play games today work, right? It's like you get people to have fun, and then they want to invest their time in it and money oftentimes. And I think what you guys are doing is smart, where it's like, this is a game first, and then there's going to be a lot of, if you like the game, it's free to play, which is different for a lot of blockchain games. But then if you like the game, you're going to want to invest in grinding skins, or NFTs that are cosmetic and kind of decorating your character and customizing your experience.
We were stunned by how many people grinded the whitelist tokens that we dropped. We dropped them, I think, on Friday. We dropped 2,000 epics and 100 legendaries. And legendaries, it was a very low drop rate. It was like you had a 1% chance
Yeah.
of seeing boss spawn on deathmatch for the legendaries. And it was actually even less than the advertised percentage because JVS added a little piece of code that made it so that the less the supply was, the less the percentage was. So it's all JVS's fault, by the way. But I think actually that was a good thing because it caused people to grind even harder towards the end. And I was just amazed at how quickly they went. We still have a bunch left in Battle Royale, so if you want to get your whitelist tokens, and also Fractal's going to be dropping them with new game mode that's just for Fractal. And I guess we'll have lots more details to announce on that soon.
Where you guys made a fractal map, which is super exciting. My team is stoked. It's like fractal colors, and we're doing a tournament in collaboration, which is also really exciting. Where there will be a live leaderboard that appears on Fractal.
You guys will have to name it. Take a company poll and or do a tournament. Whoever wins can name the map as a kind of piece of history. So
We need a lot of brains
yeah,
on the name, I think.
We'll put it in our Discord. Let's do that. Let's make a Discord poll or like competition and have our Discord community name the map. I think that's a great idea. Cool. Yeah. So we'll be announcing the mint date, the tournament details. The tournament will have some prizes and some whitelist tokens, I believe, soon. Yeah, it's we're really excited about that. My whole team's been on the engineering side. We've been basically fully devoted to building the infrastructure to make this tournament happen. You'll be able to see the leaderboard on Fractal. It's pretty cool. It just showcases how we want to go deeper in integrating with amazing games. So yeah, thank you. Anything I left off and forgot that we want to cover?
And this all sounds good. I think in addition to when the mint happens, stuff that we're excited about is that we're actually having Team Luminosity come on board. After the mint, we have a huge roster of their players, some of them professional esports players, big influencers. It's going to be really fun because they're just going to widen the whole audience to what can be done in EV and expose it, show people that NFTs, like the best part of NFTs. And so that's a pretty exciting thing too. So we're going to have more details on that, but Team Luminosity is on board and they're going to bring some of the biggest streamers in the world onto EV, which I think is going to be it's going to be crazy, So we hope by doing that, it's just after the mint, it's just a sign of like the support of the game doesn't end. It's just the beginning, really, and that's what this mint is. It's a start of a journey, and literally the 2 weeks following the mint is going to be this massive Team Luminosity event that we're working with our parent company, Enthusiast Gaming, to do, and it's going to be just having it in the hands of creators that are just know how to have fun with games and have fun with their audience is just going to be another way of just showing how a browser game can be a lot of fun and just a social experience. So that's going to be coming up right after the mint. So I wanted to make sure that we included that because I think some people will be excited to see some of their favorite people that they watch actually playing EV. We have to really start announcing this stuff because we have some really cool stuff in the pipeline.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, everything that's in EV.io now is just like sort of like the foundation, the building blocks. And we have a really good competitive shooter that runs on lots and lots of devices. But the future, there's so many things planned. We're going to have mini games. We're going to have social areas. Mini games is in like you can create your own mini games, kind of like in Roblox, and you can share them with other people. So just imagine parkour with EV.io's crazy movement mechanics, or like infection mode, which is another popular, I guess, kind of mini game. But yeah, we kind of see it as like the beginning of something, and we could build a whole world, a lore, a story, around the characters that that are featured in our NFTs. And we're still working on all that stuff, obviously, but it's really just all the beginning. And NFTs help to make it all happen, So I'm grateful to be a part of it all.
Amazing. Thanks for partnering with Fractal. We'll post details about the mint as well. And where can people find out more about EV.io? I mean, they can go play it right now at EV.io. Well, what's the Twitter, Discord, website, etc.?
Twitter is play_EVIO. And Discord, we don't have a custom Discord handle, but you can find the Discord link on Twitter.
Cool. All right, guys. Amazing. Thanks for joining the podcast.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
See you soon.